Good day, my name's Graham. I am an evolutionist who thinks maybe there's gods out there, or a god, because evolution says yes, there are different stages of existence depending on your niche and how long you've been around and what development you've had. So there are maybe higher beings who may be seen as gods to lower beings, like the hominids that were once humans. And you might say that's a bit rude, but well, what is a human? You have to establish first what is a human. A human is something that asks questions. That then he was able to, from that question, into the instinct, which is instinctive, and then you had the intuition and experience, then helps you solve the problems. But if you don't ask questions, or you're told you shouldn't ask questions, like they do these days, the politicians, you shouldn't question a politician about climate change and things. Therefore they're taking away what makes you a human. They take away your human right, or your right to be a human, if you like. Now the human, the earth and the beings on this earth have gone through many stages of cataclysm from one thing or another. It's got many times there's been ice ages, or comets hitting the planet, or pole shifts, and all sorts of things that come along, and they're called cataclysms, and they disrupt the order of life at that time. And then there's a period of desolation, and then life has to first of all the flora, that is the trees and grasses, need to develop, and then the animal life begins to thrive as the flora develops. But and depending on how the flora is, how animal life develops, because you've got animals in the jungle, animals in the plains, and animals in the forest, and they develop accordingly. Now that's a short lesson on cataclysms and now evolution, if you like. Adaptation is an issue. Now the next cataclysm is happening right in front of our faces. Those people who they never leave the iPhone, it's always in their faces. Well, they have almost said we give up. They've given up being a human. They thought, look like humans, I'm not like clever, but they've given up being a human, and now they're totally controlled by that. And once you have taken away control from yourself to a thing in front of you, a machine, well, you're giving your humanity away, or your intelligence away, your control to the machine. You've handed over your cognitive processes, if you like, beyond getting your breakfast and whatever. Maybe people don't even cook that anymore, but they have given over their cognitive processes to a machine, and that's now it's starting to control the people en masse. And when you've done that, those people this is a very important thing, because history tells us this. The next cataclysm will be the wiping out of the human race, or replacing human intelligence with artificial intelligence, because the people, also the elite, do not need, you don't need thinking humans anymore, when all the thinking is done by machines. All the thinking is done by machines, so you don't need Homo sapiens as such. You don't need them anymore, because need them is something that's a very important thing. The people, elite, need and use, up to a point, up to recently, need and used humans to get themselves rich. Now they're as rich as they ever need to be, and they're powerful and all that. They don't need to be any richer. Now they need to know how to control the human population, and first of all you control it by having everyone onto one of these devices, stitching it all up with 5G, and then you've got everyone on a phone, or even putting it in their hands, and stitching it into hands in tattoos and what have you, to then begin to totally, utterly control. And that way they can actually program a disease, cancers, dementias, all sorts of diseases then can be automatically programmed into portions randomly, if you like, a random algorithm, if you like, can be then created, what gives starts to give people genetic disorders and diseases that they pass into children. Children will be weaker, etc. And it's a slow cataclysm this time. This time it's not a cataclysm. What it is, although it's sort of natural in a way, and that's contentious, of course. It's ungodlike, but maybe it depends on your God, because a God is often used in violence to kill other people who don't believe in the same God. So it's sort of godly for one group who worship one God to go and attack and try and annihilate other groups that don't worship the same God. So that's sort of part of the history of it as well, what gets into the complexity of it. But the fact is that everyone is becoming a bot instead of human. They're becoming a bot, and in other words, humans have gone from hominoids, which is people who had a simple life and never went technical progress, never had technical progress for hundreds of thousands of years, to then having the need to technical skills to make cars and to work with machinery, work in industrial processes, and all that requires some kind of skill. Even though those jobs look down upon, there's a great deal of skill in working in steelworks and a great deal of caution in even working in a coal mine. There's a great deal of skill involved. And those things are now looked down upon, and people don't want to do that anymore, and of course not. Who can blame them? But nonetheless, if you don't need to think anymore, so everyone, all the thinking is going to be done for you, then you're no longer human, you become a humanoid again. And that's a simple fact of the matter. So in the future, when it happens about 2075, we estimate that mathematically there's a six generational change adaptive process in this, the recessive genetic program, which is political correctness, or PC. There is a 6 generational program that goes from the 1970s up to 2075 or somewhere thereabouts. You can sort of estimate it, and then that will then weaken totally the will of much of human society. And then and this is the amazing irony of this, that throughout the cataclysms that's happened, we don't know how many there has been. We suspect there's 10,000 years ago, or before then, and maybe before 35,000 years ago. We're not sure. But there were other civilizations and other existences before that. They got wiped out through cataclysm, or some people say it was a comet hitting Earth, some people say it was the sun's flaring, some people say the poles shifted, some people say there were collapse of the ice shelves, it flooded the world. All those things can become the stories that you can read on the net about the cataclysm. Now, who survives this cataclysm? Who survived it? Who survives it is the same people who survived it forever. The Aboriginals, the people in the primitive forest, the people living in the forest, the people living as naturally as possible, as far away from any technology as possible. Generally, some of those will survive, and maybe some in the higher realms will survive. Those who know it's coming, they will certainly survive. But again, then what will happen is in the cataclysm, that is the robotization of human race. What will happen? The cataclysm of those, the next extinction event of the human society, if you like, then will allow the elite will be there, and they will not be wiping out the basics, the people, the remnants from the human society left in amongst the jungles on some of the islands and places in the world will be still there. They'll still exist. They will exist for eternity, and those meek shall inherit the earth. It's as simple as that, really. And then that basically is in a nutshell. Now, if you want to give away your genetic rights, keep looking at your machine. If you want to take control of your genetic future, you throw away your iPhone, you start thinking, hang on a minute, how much of this stuff do I really need to get by on? How can I give away? Can I give away all this iPhones and all this technology? Can I live without it? How can I get myself off this and get my kids off this? Because then you take control over your genetic future. And whatever that is, whatever the future is, we can't say. I mean, in 10 years' time, the Earth could be by comet, or we could get a pole shift or a solar flare anyway. So those things, or we could be in for another ice age. Those things, no one can do anything about. Now, but we can do as much as you can, make a choice to take control of your genetic future by giving away the technology and get as far away from it as you possibly can in some way, and then pass that idea on to your children to stay away. Then you get control of your genetic future. If that, you otherwise, by just sticking to the thing, the iPhones and handing those to your kids, then you're giving away your control of your genetic future. It's that simple. But the meek will inherit the earth. This is just not prophecy, it's obvious that the people in the jungles of South America and Brazil and that, and maybe in Tibet somewhere, the people are living more primitive existence, sorry. There's still a few nomads in wherever they're living still. The people still follow horses or cattle in the part of Mongolia or wherever they are, will probably carry on forever and in eternity, because if they don't, they still sustain themselves within the natural sustainable systems, then chances are they're going to carry on, because they're not going to be affected by all this high tech and stuff like that. It's just not going to happen to them. Anyway, I just thought I'd sort of summarize really cataclysm. What does it mean? An extinction event. You choose whether you're going to be, your genetics are going to be extinct or not, by whether you want to keep buying those iPhones and stuff like that, getting involved with that. That's your choice. People make their own choice. It's called free choice. That's what you're free to choose, using your iPhone, staring at that, or free to throw them away and not bother with them. That's a choice you have. And then free to think for yourself. How do you survive? How does your gene survive? Not how wealthy you get in the future, not how much your property is worth, not what car you have. How valuable are your genes? Are your genes any less valuable than anyone else's on earth? That's the question you have to ask. Bye.